Where's Mama Sue? Good morning. I thank the Corps for the opportunity to be here today. I'm not going to go over a lot of things. I think most of you have covered the majority of it. But I'll make a few comments on some things that were said prior to my appearing before this microphone, this body. One thing about it, Pete, when they talk about they don't want to send us any, or they won't tell us where to go, how to get there, what we need to tell them is when we leave, there's going to be nobody to send them seafood, nobody to send them oil, nobody to send them gas, nobody to send them heating fuel, nobody to send them gasoline. Maybe at that time they'll understand what we're all about. Dan mentioned something too about his daughter that he, at 65, he swam with his kids. That same daughter, if she could tell you the story that she went through this with Katrina, you'd have tears in your eyes because she's a nurse. And she watched people die. When she had no more oxygen to give to people, just going through the motions. Those are the things that we need to think about. And to think about anything less at this point in time about making a living, about industry, particularly when there are alternatives to the situation that we're in, would be shameful. When you think about the people that lost their lives, and let me tell you something, Dan was right. And when I refer to Dan and Pete, I want you to understand I refer to two guys that have always been there with me. Sometimes we couldn't always go together. Sometimes there was 2 to 3 meetings, and we'd split up. And they were the foundation, the advisory committee. If, just think about it, we were very fortunate. Had Katrina, had the water come in at night, close your eyes right now and see if you can find the door. See if you could have found your kids. See if you could have found your mother, your father, your grandparents. Because in all probability, you would have been sitting down watching television and the lights would have gone out and you probably would have not seen, not probably, you would not have seen the water come in. You would not have known it was there. We would have needed those 10,000 body bags. And that's a fact. So we can be thankful. The man upstairs was looking after us. He may have he's provided us with a challenge, but he took care of us. There's somebody upstairs looking after us. And thank God it's not the Corps of Engineers. But I'm going to tell you this in all fairness about the Corps of Engineers before I get into our project. There's definitely been a change in the attitude in the Corps. I've seen that over the past years. I think, Pete, we've had opportunities to meet with, and there's been a change. A lot of the old hardliners have gone, and the younger people have taken over. And with those statements, I'm just going to go on with our presentation. The program that St. Bernard Parish has put together has not been put together by scientists or engineers. It's been put together by people that know what they're doing. The fishermen, commercial, the recreational, the users of the wetlands, the people that have been through it before. I've worked hard, and I've put in many hours. And one of the gentlemen that worked along well with me is Mr. Benny Roussel. The program that we put together for St. Bernard is a regional program, not just a St. Bernard program. Water knows no boundaries. We understand that. Benny and I just came from Mississippi, and we talked to people with Trent Mott's office, the mayor, Tommy Longo, from Waveland. And let me tell you something, what I just told you, I'll just tell you a little story about that director of Public Works. Here's a guy that was in his home, a guy about 60 years old. He was walking around till he stayed for the hurricane, and he was not on the beach. He was on the other side of the railroad tracks. This gentleman told us that he was walking through his home when he looked outside, and he saw the water halfway up his picture window. He said then he knew what it felt like for a fish to be in a fish tank. And it's a good thing that he was a guy that was in good shape, had been in the Navy, had been a policeman. He kept his cool, and he got on top of a table when the water came in. He was waiting for it to equalize, and it got all the way up to here, and he said, before he swam under, opened the window, and got out. And after he got out, he had to get behind the house, swimming, just holding on to it, and that's how he stayed. Those folks had 13 miles from the beach, 16 feet of water. So we all had it rough. But I'm going to go on with our program because actually that's part of it. Benny and I went to, not just been staying in the state of Louisiana, we've also gone to Mississippi and get support for the program. Our program calls for total closure. Total closure, if they understand that, is reconstruction of the Bayou-Lutra Ridge across the MRGO. Nothing less. St. Bernard Parish will not, should not, nor should Orleans or anybody that had anything to do or anything similar to, with the situation we're in with Katrina should accept nothing less. Period. I want to thank Carlton Dufresne because Carlton and I have had some discussions about this situation, and he's always told me privately that he thought our plan was the best. And I'm glad, and I appreciate that, Carlton. Thank you and the foundation. Our plan calls for total closure at the Bayou-Lutra Ridge. It also calls for another levee from the GIWW along Lake Bourne, which would give us 3 levees in St. Bernard and Orleans. Those levees would be 17.5. The 40 Auburn levee, which is now 10 to 12 feet, we're asking them to bring to 15. We're also asking that levees in Blackman Parish on the east bank be brought up to 15 to 17. Benny has a need for that, and we also have a need for that. Water knows no boundary. Advantage people get the water, and so does St. Bernard Parish. If St. Bernard gets it, so does Orleans. So that's the reason that we look at this thing in a regional manner instead of just our whole program now. We think it's cost effective. It's a $5.2 billion program over 15 years. The first 5 years called for closure of the MRGO on a priority basis. The third hurricane levee protection system, gates at Bayou Dupree, Ferret, Bayou Bienvenue, GIW, and in the coastal canal. The program that we have also calls for bank stabilization, which we already have to equip a program. About $16 million project's been approved. We also call for fresh water introduction at Violet. Closure of the MRGO at the Bayou-Lutra Ridge will bring things back to where they normally were. Restoration of the ridge. It is the only ridge that we can actually restore.